We've seen how people in Philadelphia are building a green infrastructure to keep their rivers from being polluted by runoff from too much rain. But how are areas in the country that are experiencing record-breaking droughts solving their water blues? Adopting green solutions in the chronically parched Southwest means conserving and protecting limited sources of water and thinking anew about how we use our land. San Antonio was settled along the springs and rivers that emerge from an underground limestone cavern of water known as the Edwards Aquifer. 2 million people living in the San Antonio and Austin areas depend on the aquifer's clean water.
That Edwards water that we sit on top of and that we pump out of wells, it's clean, we don't have to treat it, we put a little chlorine in it, fluoride to send it to your house. That we'll never have any water cheaper than that.
20 years ago, it was an abundant resource that sat right below us. I mean, you turned on the tap and it was there. That doesn't exist today. The water may be there, but the access to it is different.
Up until the 1990s, there'd been no limits on the amount of water that could be pumped from the Edwards Aquifer. But in 1991, the Sierra Club brought a lawsuit against the federal government to protect endangered species like this Texas blind salamander from a loss of habitat caused by the unlimited pumping of water from the aquifer.
I was the state chapter director for Sierra Club at the time that the lawsuit was brought by the Sierra Club. And of course, some people try to characterize it as a situation of critters versus people. But the spring flows provide the majority of the base flow of the Guadalupe River system that goes all the way to the coast and provides water for industries as well as for commercial fishing industry. And so the Sierra Club was trying to come up with a way that we could manage water resources so that everybody could benefit.
That lawsuit helped the community to become a community that is very smart about its use of water and has made the right investments in conservation, and San Antonians have embraced a reasonable conservation culture that has really helped out during these last few years, even during the drought.
San Antonio is in another year of drought, its third year of extremely high temperatures and very little rain, causing lakes and rivers to dry up and threatening the livelihood of farmers and ranchers.
All of 2011, it just didn't rain. Not only did it not rain, but about 70 total days that was over 100 degrees, and it just, it just burned everything up. There was just no vegetation on the ground. Nothing that was edible for cattle anyway. We had to finally make the decision to vacate the ranch, take all the cattle off, and sent them to Missouri. It was pretty painful just to take everything off of here, but it was what needed to be done. Here we are, August the 3rd of 2013, and we're back in almost as bad of conditions.
This is by far the most dramatic example in South Texas of how severe this drought has become. The lake's dropping almost a foot every couple days. It's now 4.9% full. This is 10% of San Antonio's water supply, and the water quality now is too low for the city of San Antonio to be able to treat the water. Farmers were cut off last fall, and now everyone's just waiting for the lake to fill up again. I'm the water environment reporter at the San Antonio Express News. For my job, I kayak because it gets me right onto what I cover. This could be the new normal, and that is terrifying. And if you allow that to go, then that means no lawns, no more growth. That means no more businesses coming to town. That means you have to act like you're living in a desert.
San Antonio is booming. There are a lot of folks that are moving in from different parts of the country, and they have different expectations about what their lawn should look like. I mean, personally, it's hard for me because I didn't grow up with much of a lawn, and that was very common in San Antonio. But I do think that a lot of folks do have this expectation that they're going to have this lush lawn 365 days out of the year. But the first thing that is on the table for cutting back when there are drought restrictions are watering lawns and so forth.
They can totally do drip in here. Coming in. Yeah. My name is Adolf Garcia, and I'm the Senior Conservation Consultant for the San Antonio Water System. Customers call us out to their homes. They want to know why they have a high water bill, and we help them out and give them points and tips on how to save water and money.
On that
before
tank?
They installed it? No, before they installed it?
No,
okay.
no. Because our house was built in 2001, I think it only became code recently.
Okay. Our water bills this past summer were quite high, so we wanted to try to do something to reduce our water bill. Because although we were being water savers in terms of in our home, outside our home with the landscape, we were being sort of water wasters, and we wanted to not use so much.
Whenever you do a conversion, you convert these nozzles here, you do the whole. Everybody wants that green lawn, and it doesn't have to be that way. There's a lot of drought-tolerant landscape material out there that is just as beautiful. But habits are hard to change.
I've been mowing lawns since I was probably 10, and I decided I didn't want to ever mow a lawn again. Plus, we're big believers in conserving where you can. We had a landscaper we'd worked with before, and my only direction was no grass, lots of color, and low maintenance, and we're just thrilled with it.
You know, eating the natural nectar and the color of the plants also attracts them. I specialize in xeriscape landscaping, which is the usage of low water requirement plants that require less water, but you also get a more interesting looking landscape. 5 years ago, I used to talk to people about xeriscaping, and they'd say, well, that sounds interesting, but I want a lawn. And now it's like everybody has come full circle, and everybody's saying they want to reduce their turf areas and they want drip irrigation. They're water conscious because we've been in a drought for 3 years, and this is a cyclical, periodic thing that is going to come back again. And look at the part of Barbados.
The citizens of San Antonio are very aware of the water situation in comparison to any other city.
Depending on the level of the aquifer, we have drought management stages, stages 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 5 even. All it is a restriction on lawn watering. And so we don't even have a restriction on how much you can use. It's just a restriction on when you can use it. And so depending on the stage, our residents can water once a week, and the stage after that is once every 2 weeks.
Everybody knows about the aquifer level. It's announced on the news, it's announced on the papers. People talk about it all the time. Are we in stage 1 restriction, stage 2, stage 3? People don't always follow through on what their restrictions are, but they're aware of it.
Good afternoon, San Antonio Water System. It's Elizabeth. How may I assist you?
That sprinkler has been on running all day for 4 days.
Hi, I just wanted to report a water waste here in my neighborhood.
But it just aggravates the living heck out of me.
It's just like a slap in the face for us, you know?
We use off-duty San Antonio police officers who go out at all hours of the night, and they write citations when they find people not watering according to the rules of the drought restrictions.
What I'm looking for today is to see if anybody's watering with an address that doesn't end at an 8 or a 9. If anyone else is watering with that address, they'd be in violations. They have their separate days to water. If we do find a violation, we'll file a case with our municipal court, and it's a Class C misdemeanor, punishable by up to a $500 fine. So the more that... Okay, there's one. I just got to check the address. Oh, they're in compliance, 1619.
I couldn't have enough water police in San Antonio to enforce drought rules if the majority of the public didn't fundamentally think it was the right thing to do.
The big cypress tree is that. It's called Marriage Island because of the many weddings that take place there.
This is the Riverwalk, a favorite destination for tourists and an economic engine for the city. It's hard to imagine from here that San Antonio is in the midst of another year of drought.
The Riverwalk is kind of a jewel of San Antonio. We're very proud of it. You step down from city level into this other world that is lush and green and inviting.
Now, the part of the river that ran right here, it's known as South Bank. It's also considered the nightlife of the Riverwalk.
don't think the average person who is strolling along the Riverwalk or on one of the barges probably realizes that that's treated sewage that they're floating on.
To help solve a problem of too much demand and limited supply, San Antonio has created a surprising new source of water. It's sewage.
This is the greenest place in Texas. We're doing more recycling here than anywhere else. This plant can treat about 125 million gallons a day. I think what makes this plant different from most others is that we see everything that comes into this plant and everything that leaves as a resource to be managed, not as a waste product to be thrown away. Now, in a lot of places they take this material to the landfill, but here we compost it. We make about 140,000 tons of compost per year. They strip everything out of it except the methane, and then they compress it, and it goes into a national distribution pipeline. In fact, today, this gas is actually being piped to Santa Barbara, California. We let a lot of our water go on down the river. Some of it gets picked up by our electric utility for making power, and the rest of it goes on down to the Gulf of Mexico and supports all the aquatic ecosystems and habitats and the fisheries along the coast. At the very far end of the tank, you'll see those big purple pumps. That's where we pull off water for the recycled water distribution system. This is going up to all of our users in town, which are the golf courses and also the Riverwalk downtown. But this is it. This is the end result of the whole treatment process. Just water.
Even with its efforts to conserve water and reuse it, San Antonio Water System is actively buying Edwards Aquifer water rights from farmers west of the city.
I'm involved with a family farm that's been around for over 60 years in this area. You know, farming's a hard business. It's a very risky business. So a lot of people kind of looked at it and said, you know, I've had my share of this, and now that my water's worth some money, I'm interested in selling that water to San Antonio or a developer, and some of them have moved off. Well, that's taken land out of production and definitely causes some heartache in the community. Back in early summer of this year, we went into stage 5 water restrictions, which means we're cut back 44% over our normal usage. You look around this community, you'll see farms that have half the production. You see a lot of it will be in bare dirt. So that means half the dollars being circulated here from agriculture.
The city represents 1.4 million people. There's 10 or 20,000 people directly involved with farming. But farming produces food. The city is using water to grow grass. So there's a circular argument that's been going around for at least 30 years on who can take how much water for what out of the Edwards Aquifer.
Personally, we don't have any cotton production going on. We don't have any corn production going on. We're not doing any of those things. We're saving some of that water for vegetable production this fall. So the drought is definitely having a huge effect on my family's livelihood.
Having enough water means little if the water you have is not clean.
Thanks for inviting me to your school. We're going to have a presentation about something called the Edwards Aquifer. Now, in case you don't know what the Edwards Aquifer is, that's okay. You're about to find out.
The Edwards Aquifer Authority is engaged in educating the public and even its youngest citizens about the need to protect the aquifer from pollution.
You're going to dump some trash down into that aquifer. Just dump it in there. Oh, everyone go, no! Without water, this part of Texas would look so very different, and it's a very precious resource. It's a finite resource, and we have to take care to maintain it and keep it clean. So someone comes along, you've been playing outside all day, you're very thirsty, and you drink this very same water, just like this. And teach the kids how to do that as well so that we can enjoy this water for a long, long time. And so it's a very important job, probably one of the most important things I've ever done in my life, besides being a parent.
Stormwater enters the Edwards Aquifer through cracks in the land, caves, and sinkholes, and then raises or recharges the aquifer's water level. Stormwater that enters the aquifer carrying oils, pesticides, and other pollutants contaminates the water below. To prevent contamination, the citizens of San Antonio pay a sales tax to support a conservation easement program in areas where the aquifer is recharged.
The City of San Antonio purchases the development rights on these ranches out here. This is assuring that there will be recharge to the aquifer and that these areas will not be developed where you get less quality recharge.
Good morning, Doug. It's been about a year, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has.
How
this
you
is
get?
John.
Hey, John. Good meeting you.
Good
meeting you.
I supervise the easement monitoring program for the City of San Antonio. We look for any kind of development activity that's not allowed, any kind of storage of chemicals that might not be allowed on the recharge zone. Pretty much just document year to year any changes on the property so that over time we can keep an eye on what's going on out here.
We pump up the hill for water, and here's tanks for animals. Anyway, let's get down here to the first monitoring point.
So this is what the monitoring points look like. They're just posts in the ground, and then we take pictures to document the surrounding area.
We want to save this ranch for our children. If we would have sold it, it was gone. We could have had some money and banked it and probably spent it, who knows, but this way, we sold the development rights. We don't want it developed anyway. You want to go up there and we can do that one? We've got caves on the property. We've got recharge features here to where the water just runs into the ground.
Okay.
Okay? And I realize it's going into the aquifer and supplying water for San Antonio. What gives me the right to destroy that water that's going into the aquifer? Why shouldn't I take care of it? But yeah, you see all the trees growing now, and that's because of cutting this through here and pushing it up. Yeah, it keeps water in here longer. I'm a very conservative person. And, you know, you would think, well, conservative people aren't very green. No, it's helped all these trees and everything go.
Yeah, that's good conservation.
Yeah. You know what? Being a steward of the land is being a good conservative because you're taking care of things for your children and for their future and so forth.
Despite efforts to protect the Edwards Aquifer and ranch areas outside the city, San Antonio's continuing growth over the recharge areas in the northern part of the city might undermine its conservation efforts.
That land is worth a lot of money to developers. That's where our best schools are, that's where our best shopping centers are, that's where our major employers are. And so it's unfortunately over the most environmentally sensitive feature in the state of Texas. Nobody knows how much development is too much development. All we know right now is that we don't like motor oil in our water.
It's been a constant battle over the years between ensuring that we have economic development and growth and also making sure that there's no damage to the integrity of the aquifer. I don't know that we've ever struck the perfect balance, but we keep trying.
What good does it do me to try and protect it here, yet another part, they're dirtying it up, and this water basically gets mixed together. No, I would like everybody to be on the same page. I'm on that page, and my neighbors are on that page. Why not have everybody on the aquifer on the same page?
When it comes to water, there are no easy answers. Today, San Antonio is pumping the same amount of water from the Edwards Aquifer as it did 20 years ago, despite its population increasing by 60%. But will the city be able to withstand the pressures of both population growth and chronic drought in the years to come?
I'm not sure there's any way that you can prepare folks for the uncertainty of climate change except to have them be empowered by embracing a culture of conservation in terms of water. And that's what San Antonians have done, so that we're able to withstand even the most severe drought so far, and we can continue to grow in the future.
Water is one of the biggest things that we have to solve as a society. It doesn't matter if you're the user in the biggest urban area or out in the far reaches of our nation in the little bitty community. We need water for our daily lives. We need water to grow economically. So we've got to have water to thrive as a nation moving forward. It starts and ends with water.